Today we are going to be removing the AGM house batteries. So to do that, we take the step off. Okay, then we start pulling these very heavy batteries out of their location. Okay. All right. So I think these are all 13 millimeter connections. So the place we start first is the negative. You always remove, this is the coach negative. You can see that this wire is running in behind underneath the battery box, so you know that this is the main coach negative. So that's what we want to undo first. And we are going to be installing a Lithionics battery, which we don't need to use this Magnum temperature sensor with, so that'll just get abandoned in place. And so the negative is gone. Okay, then the next thing I like to do is remove this wire. It's from a negative to a positive, which makes these 6-volt batteries wired in series. And so I like to remove, the negative from that, from this connection. So the main thing that we're doing is we are making the batteries safe. Oh, also remember to turn your coach battery switch to off before you start this. And if you have solar, disconnect your solar, because you want to kill all possible power coming into the coach. But I still treat these battery cables as if they are hot. So this being connected to a positive, it's considered hot, and so you want to make sure that your wrench doesn't touch anything metal while you're removing this, or else you will have a shot, you'll short it, and you definitely don't want to do that. So we remove this cable, and now this battery is safe to be removed. And then the last thing we want to do is disconnect. This is the coach positive, which again, like I said, it's running under the step, so you know that's hooked to the coach. So you want to disconnect this. It's hot because it's a positive, so you don't want your wrench to touch anything metal. As I said, I always treat a positive as if it is hot. So I'm putting one of these cable covers over the end. So in case there's any residual voltage or you've not disconnected something, you're not going to have a short and damage anything, blow fuses or anything like that on the coach side. Okay, so now the AGM batteries are disconnected and we can remove them. So I'll go ahead and do that. Is that enough light? Yeah, okay. All right, go. Okay, so we want to set up the battery box for the Lithionics battery. So to do that, we're going to remove these bumpers that they had holding the old AGM battery. Okay. All right, now then we have to replace this bolt with this flathead 5/16. So the floor will be flat. Okay, so as I said before, this bolt and the nut underneath is either 9/16 or 15 millimeters. They both work. And the new 5/16 flathead and nut is 13 millimeters, or whatever corresponds to that, half inch, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to use a 13 millimeter. So I'm going to get under the rig, under the step. Okay, are you holding it?
Yes.
All right, take it out. Hold it. You gotta hold it down. Okay, so I added some zip ties in a couple of places. I wanted to make sure my connections were all tight, and now that's all buttoned up, and the battery box is prepared and ready to put the batteries back in. So we are done. Ready? Oops. Okay, so our last thing is we are installing this Lithionics battery. So first thing you do is make sure you take off all these little feet that Lithionics puts on the bottom, so the battery sits as flat as possible in the battery box, because it's a tight fit. Okay. Then we're going to push this cover, put these covers come with the Lithionics battery, so we want to push these out. Okay. This is the hardware we need to put battery on. And you want to make sure that you install the cable in such a way that when you push the battery in, and make sure this is the positive cable, by the way, it's red, coach. Okay, so you want to Always hook the positive up first and make sure your lock washer is there. But make sure you put the cable in such a way that when you push the battery in, it's all going to flatten against the wall. So I always point it at an angle like this, so I know it's going to end up as flat as possible when I push it in the back. And then you tighten it. Now you don't want to, you know, like make it gorilla tight, but you want to, you know, give it one last little tug. One thing I forgot to say is this is the battery button. When it's blue, it's on. So right now it's off. So be careful when you're handling the battery when you're trying to install it, because you don't want to accidentally turn it on. Okay, so then we move this cap up, and then it snaps into place, and then it sits flat on this. So that's how you know you got it into place. And then where's the negative? Okay, then here's the negative battery cable. And the same thing, you want to install it to where you know it's going to lay flat once you push it back. Oh, I forgot my cover. Now, if you forget your cover, like after you put it on, you can't always cut a line and then snap the cover on it. So don't get upset if you forget it, because you can put it on, you know, afterwards. Alright, so that's all there is. Push this cap up, make sure it snaps into place and it sits flat. Okay, now we just push it in. Oh, you have to tilt it to get it under the lip. And that pushes right back, straight back in. Okay, and there we have it. The Lithionics battery is in. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put some foam over here. We have this dense black packing foam, big pieces of it, that Lithionics packs the battery in. So we're going to get the battery box all situated, the Lithionics battery in there, and come back. Second, it takes a, all right.
That's already got enough juice in it to do that.
Yep, it's on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woohoo! Back in biz.
You're a miracle.
Okay, so this is your Lithionics battery monitor, and like I said, it came from the factory, 99% charged. Oh, we had the the little bit of power is being drawn from the battery. So if you go to settings, you don't have to, but you can, you know, set your security pin. If you want to name the battery, you say yes, and then you can put your, so you can go yes, and instead of my battery, you can put
Wait a minute. W-A-Y. Capital M.
oh,
O-R-R.
M-O-R-R?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All the way Morrison.
I always like to do a firmware update. Yes, it's up to date. Now the other good thing about the Lithionics battery, as they learn things, or if they want to turn up the power, like I have a 315 battery, they've actually been able to do software changes to turn up the power. So like mine is now it's 320, yours is 320. So as they make advancements, they send out firmware updates. So it's something you want to kind of do periodically to keep your battery up to date with what Lithionics is learning and changing and redesigning about their batteries. Okay, so so now your battery is named way more. So if you go back to the list, you'll see your name is there. So so you call this up because this is the most accurate battery information that you have, that you need. And so this tells you your state of charge. It tells you what the battery voltage is. If right now we're using 1 amp, so red, and this is a net, so it's how much amps are coming in and how much amps are going out. It's the net of in and out. So right now this says you're using 1 amp.
And I wonder what that would be.
Oh, just when you turn on the coach, just connecting, so the lighting up the leveler panel, the leveling panels.
We haven't turned the switch on in there.
The coach, but yeah, but those are all directly connected to the battery. Remember, the inverter's directly connected to the battery, the levelers,
That's right.
the chassis battery charger, all those, the generator, all that stuff is connected, as well as the coach battery switch. That's just one of, those 5 mega fuses I showed you under the battery box.
That's right.
Okay, and then one of the other cool things, time remaining. So if you're out camping and you're using your rig, and you're using, a kind of a set amount of current as you're camping, you can look here and it will tell you the time you have left before the battery runs down to its 10% never die first cutoff. That's its first cutoff. So what it does is that if you run it down to the 10%, it's still like at 12.8 volts, which is, basically a fully charged lead acid battery. So, so when you turn it back on, you want to have in your mind, I got to get this battery charged because you've used it down. So you can turn it back on, and you can use it to start your generator. You can, pull in the slide, like if you're going to drive instead to charge your battery, you can pull in your slide, break camp, turn the key, start driving, and your DC to DC charger, when you guys get one installed. Right now you have an isolator solenoid. So anyway, so some battery charging will occur when you turn the key, or like I said, if you want to start the generator to charge the battery through the inverter battery charger, plenty of juice to start the battery. So you have that last 10% to do what you need to do to start getting the battery charged, because that's the priority.
Without having the sun to do it. So.
Yeah, well, if you were, because already, presumably, if you could use sun, you were already using sun. But, that's in the mix of you running it down, and you have 600 watts. So if you were parked in full sun, perfect conditions, 600 watts will produce, 42, definitely good 42 amps per hour. So that's a lot of battery charge. I mean, that's a good number. So, but if you're using it, you have to say to yourself, I either need to, dial back using my power because I don't want to hit my 10% never died cutoff. Because if you do, what happens is it completely turns off. So then you have to consciously turn it on. And they do that. Lithionics does that because they want you to be thinking, I got to get this battery charged. Because you'll damage a lithium, any battery really, if it just sits, at a low power. So anyway, so that's a conscious thing that they want you to do. Turn that battery back on and get it charging.
And that's watching this. So if it were getting down to 15%,
oh yeah,
probably want to
it would be that.
Thinking about
Yeah,
what
Yeah, I never let
Prevent
mine run down. I mean, I don't even, I maybe let it run down to 20, because I just don't want to, get right to the edge. I want to figure out what are we going to do to start getting the battery charged. Anyway, okay, so that's it. We're done.
Oh.